Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. So, for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album Hindsight from uncompromising metal band Emmure. Hindsight is the band's 8th studio album and is due for release on June 26th via Sharptone Records. So, Duncan, Emmure. I'm not ashamed to say that I've been listening to Emmure since their first album, since Goodbye to the Gallows, which was back in 2007, believe it or not.
Aging me.
Yep. But I still go back to that album. There is no denying that release put a bit of a spotlight on Emmure, and definitely got me excited about the band. Their sound back then was definitely more focused on the deathcore side of things. It was like ridiculously heavy, very quirky, but highly memorable as well, both like musically and lyrically. We used to like quote lines from the album. We used to play the songs when we were rehearsing in our own band. Like, it's a great album. Over the years, like this band have their sounds developed, obviously naturally. The band incorporating bits of metalcore, new metal, and more recently some more kind of techie, kind of genty elements almost. They've also endured many a lineup change, and as a result of that, their albums have had kind of mixed responses from critics and fans. The most recent change came in 2016, where basically the whole band was restructured, and Frankie Palmieri became the only original member left in the band. This new lineup did excite me though, as you'll probably remember, because
why is that, Dave? Tell us.
Emmure 2.0 now included guitarist Joshua Travis of Glass Cloud and the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza.
I'm sure I remember you saying that they were a decent band.
I love that band. He is an absolute monster of a guitarist. So if there was anyone who could inject new life into Emmure, it was definitely him. The result was Look at Yourself, which was released in 2017. And for the most part, it seemed to be a fairly well-received album across the board. I enjoyed it. I thought tracks like Shinjuku Masterlord and Russian Hotel Aftermath were absolute bangers, but you could tell the band were like still in the process of taking shape. Skip forward to 2020, and we now have Hindsight, a 13-track album that clocks in at around 30 minutes.
Yep, that is an album I will listen to twice. Right, recently, everything we've been reviewing has been about an hour. So, you give me a 30-minute album, and you already have me kind of semi-turgid, right? Like right from the outset.
This one was produced by Drew Falk, who worked on the band's last album as well. Now, I think you'll probably agree, but from the get-go, this thing sounds fully loaded. Like, Finally Understanding Nothing is the first track. It comes out like firing on all cylinders. It's kind of built around a very new metal riff, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
But with that guitar tone, Jesus,
yeah.
It sounds enormous.
It's finally understanding nothing, but what does that spell, Dave?
Spells fun, Duncan.
Spells fun, and that's what this. Oh, dude! Honestly, we were just talking about this before we hit record here. I have never been so like shamelessly and easily like committed to a release, just from the outset. And I think that it's not only that the guitar tone is absolutely fucking decimating, like absolutely decimating. But I might get in trouble here. If this is someone in Emmure, I apologise if this word offends you. New metal, right? I am Dave will tell you, and the longer that we spend doing these reviews, you're going to realise that I have a weakness for new metal. I was at college when it came out, so it's intrinsically linked with a lot of alcohol, a lot of good times in my life. So, and it ran its course, and yeah, I got sick of it and all the rest. But I pine, Dave. I pine for a day long since gone. And recently, there's been bands who have obviously grown up in that time period. Started incorporating little factors in, and there's been about 45 million publications that have said, "Is this the return of new metal?" Question mark. And it never is. Yep. What Emmure have done is, I think, taken the best bits of new metal and incorporated it with their sound. So the riffs are fun, they're quirky, they're crushing, but above all else, every single track, front to back on this album, makes you want to jump. Makes you want to headbang, makes me want to get in a pit. I'm too old, Dave. I'm brittle. My bones will snap. But every track, front to back on this release, is just it's daring you not to headbang. It's saying go and try. And before you know it, your better half's looking at you as if you're some sort of juvenile adolescent sitting there headbanging while you're eating your dinner, baked beans going all over the room. This is like right from the outset, and it's not just the guitars that are crushing. Drum production is brilliant.
Oh yes.
Vocals. I love the vocals on this release, and I actually think I used to remember one of my biggest issues, and it wasn't even an issue with Emmure, where the lack of any sort of push to try and stretch what was done. We have the most crushing scream tone, and we're just going to use it loads. Which is fine. Which is fine, because if I could scream like that, Dave, I'd be doing it all the fucking time. But on here, he's mixing up. There's some spoken word bits, a bit of kind of really oblique melody, and then he hits you. Fucking guy can still scream like a motherfucker. And yet, like, when you add all those elements in, this album, like, see if you said to me this album was a 15-minute album, I was like, yeah, it's a 15-minute album. It fucking flies in at such a pace, and then you just want to hit play again. Just like that one more time. I've listened to this loads, and like by the time you get to, I know I'm completely stealing your thunder, because I know you're here's the tracks, and I'm a kind of chaos reviewer. I believe in chaos reviews. Gypsy Disco is fucking awesome. Like, I want that played at my funeral and or like renewing my vows. One of the two. It's fucking amazing. But it's just, I mean, it just every song here is just. I think there's maybe one or two that maybe go over 2.5 minutes. They do exactly what they need to do. They don't always necessarily follow a precise formula either. Like, there's bits where I'm like, right, this is where the interlude kicks in. The song's like, nah, fuck it, I'm finished. And I really like that, because it kind of, once again, not to upset the guys in the Emmure, by the use of the following term: rap music, Dave. There's like, if you listen to a lot of kind of specifically late 90s rap, early 2000s rap, a lot of those tracks would just finish. Right, here, this is where we go back to the chorus. No, we're done. Or they just fade out, and you'd be like, that doesn't feel like. It's like they've said everything they need to say with that song, and rather than sit there and try and compose another riff, which might not necessarily be the best riff in the world, but they're going to put it in there to make the track last 3 minutes, they just finish it. And to me, that is fucking brilliant. That is great songwriting, because it kept me wanting more. And if I'm a musician, I don't want people to be, lethargic by the time they get to the end of my record. I want people to be like, I wish they'd done. I genuinely wish this album was 5 tracks longer. And I mean, I'll be honest, I'm big fan of their earlier stuff. I started to drift away pretty quick after that. And kind of, I always thought of the two, even though they didn't sound all that alike, they came out about the same time. I kind of tethered myself to the Acacia strain and just kind of followed that ship. But yeah, Emmure are back, and well, they never left, but Emmure are back to me in the best possible way. This man, honestly, just fucking putting Bims in the mosh pit, you know what I mean? I'll shut up now, sorry. I told you, I warned you before we hit record that I was like that. I've never been so committed to a release, like right from the outset. It's like, fun, yes, this is a fun release, well done. So I will now shut the fuck up, Dave.
I agree with some of that.
You son of a...
But not all of that.
I hate you. What you got against new metal, Dave?
Nothing. Well, something. I agree what you're saying about the little kind of quirky elements, and they're all over the first track, like the crackling vinyl intro, the sampled voices, the DJ scratching.
Oh yeah.
Even the old classic electronic drum loop outro, like it's been heard on a ton of new metal albums. All very simple ideas, but they work on that first track. And like when you mix that in with Frankie's screams of "Here we go" as a first track, it does exactly what you'd hope. Like, it gets you amped for the rest of the album. Trash Folder is next, and another track that comes with a hefty groove that's just only kind of accentuated by Josh Travis's 8-string guitar. Again, some kind of new metal flavourings in there. It's got that kind of Korn-esque, I don't know what you would call that. You know the notes they play at the beginning of Adidas. It's got that kind of sound to it in the background of the track. And then Pig's Ear, which is the third track, they released that as a single, follows that up in a very similar groove-heavy fashion. All three tracks are very to the point, as you mentioned. Feel very similar in tone and rhythm. Not overly complex tracks, especially Pig's Ear. It kind of centres around kind of one riff and then gives us a couple of variations on that riff. Gypsy Disco, though, I totally agree. Totally dug this track, and this is where I started to hear the band kind of starting to build on ideas where the riffs were kind of leading into something rather than like a kind of comparable version of the same riff. I preferred the structure of this track with the kind of verses leaning into a kind of heavy chorus type section, and along with Frankie's kind of pissed off vocals, it felt more like something I could sink my teeth into. That excitement for me was a little bit short-lived, though. The next album is I've Seen God, which is another track they released. It kind of feels more like an interval rather than a song. And then it's followed up by Persona Non Grata, which had some kind of interesting kind of King 810 vibes, kind of vocally. But musically, I thought it was a little bit repetitive. Middle of the album, I thought they kind of hit their stride. Produced probably two of my favourite tracks on the album. The kind of more upbeat Thundermouth, which opens very similar to American Head Charge's A Violent Reaction.
It does, and I love it.
And then it closes with what can only be described as Jonathan Davis styled kind of scat vocals that he does.
Totally does, yeah. I was going to hold back on that, Dave. I didn't want. I didn't want to mount my Emmure have released the best new metal album of 2020 case until the very end. But yeah,
no, I'm going to put it all out there, Duncan. Get it off my chest. Then there's Pan's Dream, which I really enjoyed. Kind of captures like the perfect balance between the kind of trademark Josh Travis bendy riffs and a really kind of memorable chorus, which has got a kind of sinister atmosphere to it. And at this point, as you mentioned, I noticed that there's only 3 tracks out of the 13 on this album that actually go over 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I realised it was the longer tracks that I enjoyed more.
All right.
I felt like tracks like Pan's Dream, or even like the album closer, Uncontrollable Descent, I felt like that's where the band were kind of fully delivering what they're capable of. The tracks for me felt more substantial. Like I felt like some of the shorter tracks, as cool as like the main riffs were, they felt a little anticlimactic to me. And I know you said you quite liked that they kind of finished short, but I was kind of felt left like, I kind of wanted I wanted a little bit more from it. for me, like overall, this album, I'd say Hindsight for me is like 70% of material that kind of shows the true potential of this lineup, and 30% kind of interesting ideas that for me don't feel quite complete. There's a lot of new metal throwbacks on this album, which we've mentioned, and you can't help but like compare them to like bands like Korn and even Limp Bizkit to an extent. On another positive note though, the band sound tight on this album, like probably the most cohesive they have ever sounded, and that together with the production this, it kind of makes those standout moments even sweeter. So I liked a lot of it, but there was still bits that I kind of felt a little disappointed.
I think there's a part of me that imagines that the shorter songs, I don't know, it's that kind of punk aesthetic as well. I'm just throwing every genre against this review. You know that kind of punk aesthetic where you literally get, it's like if the song's 2.5 minutes on the album, it's 1 minute live. Because like part of me was thinking, like, at the pace that these are played at here, and I know they're not a band that speeds up the performances live. I want to say I've seen Emmure twice now. And both times, like they sounded, very much like they did on their CD, like absolutely crushing. Like part of me thinks like in a live setting for these shorter tracks, it would just work because you'd be getting into the groove, and then just as you could just jump right into the next track, you'd be hitting a new groove, and those things maybe that's me thinking too much into it about a live setting or whatnot, but
I can see what you're saying. I'd agree that in a live setting they're probably going to mix those tracks in with older stuff as well, so you're probably going to get a good mix of material that's short and long.
And then I was thinking the name of the album's Hindsight as well, so I'm thinking, like that's hindsight is, well, not only is hindsight 2020 but looking back over a career and stuff like that as well. I think the fact that the first track abbreviates out to fun is no accident. I think clearly they're having a ball with this one, and that's kind of what's shown for it. There just seemed like just an energy and a vibe on the release which just captivated me and dragged me right through it. And yes, there's elements in here as well that sounded like, dare I drop like lesser known new metal out there. There's elements in here that, like, especially when certain melodies kicked in, that reminded me a little bit of Moto Grater, not necessarily the higher tones, but some of the notes he was hitting. Just like they were picking a little bit, that it was almost like they were cherry picking stuff that I specifically enjoy and then just scattering it through what they were doing. And the thing is, we know that Emmure can do longer form tracks. I mean, they're not a like a 10-minute opus band or anything like that, but we know they can do the longer stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I totally see where you're coming from, but I weirdly don't see a lot of that as negative. Okay. To me, it just added a bubble. This once again, multiple listens for this one. This one's going to get multiple ones before the year's out because it's just really easy to listen to. I don't have to put any thought into shoving this on at all. And the playfulness as well, I think. And the danger is as well, we know the pedigree of the musicians involved, so we know they can do the most ridiculously technical, crushing music you've ever heard in your entire life. And to some people, it might feel like they're slumming it by not doing that. But I think it's about what fits a sound and what fits a band, and what they've got going on just now, I really like. Do I want to hear more? Yes. If the songs were longer, would I be happy? Yes. But I think this album's bitching.
Nice.
It's rad, Dave.
As the kids would say.
Yes.
Rating wise, where are you sitting on this one?
Oh, it's a 4. This is a hard fucking 4. Yeah, the absolute banging 4, and we'll be listening to a lot more.
Yeah, nice.
It's fun, Dave.
It is fun. I'd probably go 3.5. Probably go 3.5.
You're dead to me.
Still, I mean, it's an enjoyable album. There were just little elements of it that me personally would have preferred more, but that's just me. What can you say? Yeah, so this one is out on June the 26th on Sharptone Records. The album's called Hindsight. If you've never heard of Emmure before and want to check them out, you can check out their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Emmure. And give it a listen, see what you think. Let us know, comment, tell us what you think of the album. Happy to hear those comments. And we'll see you on the next review. Cheers, guys.
Bye.